Hi, this is 365801 and this is a 12 in 12 review video. So for 2022 I have been doing a few review videos and this is another one of those. I'm looking at some challenges that I set myself at the beginning of the year, or in this case other people set me, and going through how well I did. First of all, I saw this on Rachel's Twitter and thought it'd be a good idea. So on, I think it was the 28th or the 29th of December, I posted to see if I could get 12 different people to recommend 12 different books that I could read in the 12 months of the year. Now, I didn't get 12 different people, but I got multiple recommendations from less people. So I got more than 12 recommendations. So I felt confident that I could still do this challenge. Now, the first person I want to mention is Jen from Jen Does the Thing, and she recommended, first of all, Slippery Creatures. So Slippery Creatures is by KJ Charles. It's part of the Will Darling Adventures series, and I had just read that full series maybe 2 or 3 months prior, and so I felt like, oh, I didn't really know if I was going to be able to do a reread. It turns out I did actually do a reread in 2022. I reread the whole series and a few other things as well. It's KJ Charles, it's fine. But because I had already read it, Jen recommended the Magpie Lord series, another one of KJ Charles. And I had this on my TBR. I was excited to read it. It sounds exactly like the kind of thing I would love. It's historical, it's magical, and it's got some mystery and adventure in as well. So absolutely perfect. It's also very short. So they are quick and fun reads. And of course it's KJ Charles, so you know the quality is fantastic. So I had a really good time reading these recommendations, Jen. Thank you so much. And I'm really glad that I could tick them off and get 2 reads done. Now the next person I want to mention is Rin from Rin Reads Manga, and ironically she did not recommend me manga. She recommended me some of the top male romance titles that most male romance readers have actually read, and probably the most popular ones as well. So it's quite good to have that recommendation for me, who had just recently got back into reading male romance and had been out of it for quite some time. So the first one that Rin recommended was Captive Prince, but just like Slippery Creatures, I had read it fairly recently, and it's the kind of title I think you've got to give yourself a bit of time before you go back to, especially as it was quite a slog and it's quite involved and it's very emotionally taxing. The second one that she recommended as one of the big ones was All for the Game, and I did read that. I can't remember if it was May or June when I read it. It was definitely like the Captive Prince trilogy. It's a slog and it's difficult to get through. This one is about boys and mafia playing Exy, and oh, it's a big one. But I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I have it. I can tick it off. But yeah, it's going to be a couple of years before I could ever do a reread of it as well. The next one that she recommended was Him, and I have to say I absolutely loved it. It's the kind of thing that just tickled me pink. I know that this was quite beloved. It got a Goodreads nomination for romance, and rightly so, because it is actually incredibly good. Especially Him. I liked Us and I loved Epic. So the full series I read, I think it was in March and maybe it was in February, and it is so good. It's hockey, ice hockey, it's gay pining, bisexual awakening, and a little bit of spice, and you just know it's really good. It's a brilliant series. Highly recommend it. The other one that Rin recommended, but kind of like as a kind of as an aside, was the Green Creek series by TJ Klune, that a lot of people love, but it's not really, I don't think, talked about too much, or it certainly wasn't until Tor decided to re-release it in big fancy hardback covers. I ended up getting a copy digitally through NetGalley, and then went down that rabbit hole and read the whole series as well. So I did actually end up reading All for the Game, Him, and Green Creek. So thanks, Rin. Those were like brilliant recommendations. The top male romance recommendations. Absolutely fantastic. Now, the next person I'm going to mention is Chris, and Chris recommended quite a few things, including Semantic Error, Pearl Boy, Captivated by You, and a novel as well, Monster of Elendhaven. Anything by Niboshiko Arai, and I know that I can read some of Niboshiko Arai's work on Futekia, but I just didn't get around to it. So the only one I actually read, I'm very sorry to say, is Semantic Error. Although I'm not sorry to say because I really enjoyed it, but I didn't read it all the way through. I've read a certain amount, and I can't even remember how I read it. If it was, I don't think it was a Kindle thing. I think it was like a Manta. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of the many apps that I now have on my phone. But I did read a section of it, and I went back and reread a bit of it in December as well when I started looking at the 12 and 12, and you can read a large chunk of it and then you have wait until free for certain sections, so you can still read quite a lot of it on the app. I think it's Manta, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I loved it. It was really good and I would like to read it. I'd love it if it was published. I mean, we're getting a lot of web comics, so I think it would be good if it was published in physical and I could get a copy. I'm not sure if it's complete, but I did enjoy it a lot. So thanks, Chris, for that recommendation. Now on to Rachel's recommendations, and Rachel, I was very grateful that I saw your post and pinched the image so that I could post it and get some of these recommendations, because I have had a really good time trying to read all of these throughout the year. Rachel's recommendations were Cherry Magic, which I had volume 3 of, but I hadn't got a volume 1 of, and which I had already watched the live action. So I knew I was going to enjoy it, and I know it's on my list that I need to collect. But I did manage to read some during a 1330 readathon. So I'm really happy I managed to do that. Therapy Game is also a recommendation. Now, I am well aware of Therapy Game, totally up to date, but every time a new volume would come out, I would make sure that I read it. Luckily in 2022, the restarts section of Therapy Game was being released, and I think I read both of them during a 1330, one in April and one in November. So Therapy Game and Therapy Game Restart, I definitely read this year. The other one was There Are Things I Can't Tell You, which is a digital release. I just so happened to have that on my Kindle anyway. I think it was like a £1 something sale price that Tokyopop titles sometimes get on Amazon, and so I had it already, so it was quite an easy one for me to read, and I think I also read that during a 1330, so a good time to get a lot of my manga reading in, and they are of course fantastic BL recommendations from Rachel, so thank you so much for those fantastic titles. Now on to Dylan from Dynamic Dylan, who recommended to me Monster and the Beast. I've already read Monster and the Beast. I've read it loads of times. I love it. It's great. But that doesn't mean I'm not up for a reread, especially because Katie, who I buddy read with, had not actually read the Monster and the Beast series. And so that was definitely going down on it. Well, I have to reread it because Dylan tells me, and I'm going to make you read it as well, and hopefully you will fall in love with it. And I hope Katie did enjoy it. It's a really great series. I love it. I cannot wait for volume 4. When are we going to get it? So I was happy to be able to reread that series and do a reading vlog for it as well. Another one that I read was This Wonderful Season of You, which I thought was super cute. Anything to do with high school boys playing sports and falling in love, of course, of course. And I did enjoy it, and I'd like to read more from this mangaka's work. I think they've done The Bittersweet and Dekoboku. I don't know. I have copies, but I haven't read them yet. Digitally only, I'm afraid. Now, the thing that I didn't get to read that Dylan recommended was For Real by Alexis Hall. But this was the year that I did read some Alexis Hall, because I hadn't previously. I did purchase Something Fabulous in January when it came out, because it was on special and I got it for like 99p digitally. So I would like to give that a read. I still haven't. And I did read Boyfriend Material, which I wasn't thinking I was gonna like, and then I ended up liking. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's like a Richard Curtis movie, which is not exactly saying anything because a lot of Richard Curtis movies and Alexis Hall's books are quite similar in a lot of ways. And then of course I read Husband Material when it came out. I also was able to pick up The Affair of the Mysterious Letter in a charity shop, so I'm very happy to be able to read some Alexis Hall, but unfortunately not for real. And I will put that on my TBR, and it will continue to be there until I actually do get it read. So thanks, Dylan. I did read some Alexis Hall. I also tried, oh, I should probably not mention this, but I did try How to Bang a Billionaire, and I hated it. I hated it so much. Oh, it was bad. It was so bad. So I'm a little bit wary of Alexis Hall's work. I'm not 100% on board. But we'll see how For Real does, because everyone does say it's really good, including of course Dylan. So thank you for the recommendations, and I will continue to have For Real on my TBR. Now I did get a couple of other recommendations from other people, including Ueno, who gave me the recommendations of Saye or Saye. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, but that sounds really interesting, and unfortunately I didn't get around to reading it this year, so it's still on my TBR. Lovely Allergen, which I did, I think, get to look at as well, but I didn't get to read, but also looks very interesting. The New Recruit and Swing Baby, I did get a chance to read. The New Recruit was great. I absolutely loved it. It was really good. And Swing Baby, I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy because of the style of the art, but I actually did end up enjoying as well. So I did read a little bit more webcomics, and I do enjoy webcomics. I think I'm swinging more on the webcomic side of things. Definitely December was a webcomic month, and I really had fun with all of these webcomics, so I think I'm gonna have to explore a few more, as well as these Chinese BL novels, which you know I enjoy. They're epics and I enjoy them. So thank you, Ueno, for those recommendations, because it meant that I was able to read 12 in 12. Now, one recommendation that I did not get to do, which I had thought I would, and that was from Shion, who recommended False Memories, which I've already read, so it would be a reread. And I had a digital copy of, I thought, but I only had one volume, and my 2 volumes were in my other collection. But I have now gone to my other collection and picked them up, so they are going to get put on my TBR for 2023. So I will read False Memories again. I will do a reread of it. I did enjoy it. It's a really good second chance romance story with a lot of adult work related themes. So if you're interested in False Memories, give it a shot as well. The other recommendation was Sayonara Game, but I haven't picked up any of the manga from, is it Minaduki Yu, the mangaka? I haven't picked up anything yet. They're on my to buy list, so I will have to get round to getting that title and giving it a read. So it'll be on my TBR when I get it. So thanks, Shion, and I will try and endeavour to read False Memories in 2023. So I feel like I was pretty successful with my 12 and 12. I obviously didn't have 12 different titles from 12 different people, but I did manage to read 12 titles recommended by people who I love and respect online. So thank you very much for everyone who gave me a recommendation. I've put the ones that I have not read here on this image, and so I'm going to try and see if I can read them in 2023. I have posted a 12 and 12 prompt, so if I think I only got 3 or 4 though, so I could certainly add these to those 3 or 4, but I'm not sure if they're 12. So if you have any recommendations for 2023 and giving me any kind of prompt or a recommendation or something that you love, please do let me know in the comments down below, and I'll put that on my list and create a new 12 and 12 TBR for 2023. I know I've got a few bizarre individuals suggested The Great Gatsby, and I do not want to read The Great Gatsby. So please, please, I'm begging, give me some more recommendations so that I don't have to read The Great Gatsby. Dylan, help me out. Give me some more recommendations. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who gave me the recommendations. And as I've said, I will try and endeavour to get the ones that I didn't manage to get done in 2022 read in 2023. And if you have any more recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. I've got a few on my list. I've got one from, is it Sarah Lee's Brennan, I'm looking forward to, and also Bathhouse has been recommended by Katie, and I already have that from my library in a digital format, so I'm looking forward to doing some more. But yeah, please give me some more recommendations. Save me from The Great Gatsby. I really don't want to read it, but if I don't have enough, I will have to read The Great Gatsby. It'll be on my list. So yeah. Mutuals and anyone watching this, give me some recommendations for 12 and 12 in 2023. And once again, thanks to everyone who gave me a recommendation for 2022. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm 365801. I make videos about BL manga, male romance, yaoi, all that good stuff. I hope you enjoyed this. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!